Today I'm going to show you how to make a loom knit scarf. My name is Evelyn, I'm 7 years old and I'm in 2nd grade. I have my adjustable loom and then my knitter's case. I have my different colored pegs, my other tools, my adjustable loom pieces. And if you want a wider scarf, use a wider loom. If you want a not as wide scarf, you'd use this not as wide loom. And so I have 8 pegs on each side, which will make 8 rows on each side. And so I have my skein, it's baby alpaca, and then it's same yarn except it's rolled into a ball. I got this from Woolworks in Putnam, Connecticut. So now it's time to attach our yarn here to our loom. You might notice my yarn looks different. I put it in a small stocking. It keeps constant pressure on our yarn so it doesn't just suddenly fall apart or anything like that. So when we pull it, our yarn won't just go everywhere. So next, we'll attach our yarn to our loom. It's a little knot called a slip knot. That's what we do. We'll put it on this side peg. It's only used to keep our first little knot that attaches our yarn to our loom. My other yarn, it's my skein. It's just a side till we need it, which will be much later. So to make the slip knot, first you wrap it around your fingers with a nice space here. You'll wrap it to the back and then you'll take it in towards the middle and pull up. It'll be quite big, but when you put it here, pulling on the yarn coming from our ball and what looks like a tail, you can adjust the size in many ways. This is from the yarn coming from our ball is our working yarn, and the yarn that looks like a tail is called a tail. So now we need to start making the actual scarf. It'll be like the figure 8 motion. We'll wrap up like a small loop, and then we'll wrap down. It'll look a little like a figure 8. And we wrap like that all the way across. And a common mistake might be you let go and some undoes, but that's okay, you can just redo it. It won't be too much undoing. Now we're here, let's just hold it for a sec, push down. And you don't have to push down like this, you can use your fingers or anything. So next we're going back around. It might seem a little weird at first, but you just follow the pattern back. Need to pull a little more yarn out. And if you suddenly feel your yarn is tight, just check your yarn ball. It might mean you need to pull some yarn out. No big deal at all. You might want to hold it so it makes sure none of your progress goes to waste. But I just like to keep a good grip. You might want to wrap your yarn around here, you might just want to hold it. But next, what comes in handy is a hook. It's a hook. You don't necessarily need it, but it's basically useful for all the looping over we're going to do. What we'll need to do is we'll need to loop over the bottom stitch here. The tension will seem crazy, tight and loose, and so we'll just loop over, and here we'll only have one stitch, but next time around it'll be here. So it'll just go back and forth, so don't get too confused about it. If you're like, I swear it was that one last time, you are right. They change. But the stitches don't change like crazy. It's just those two for the loom knit scarf. And so, once you lap all these over, you already did one full row. Eventually, you might see, you'll see a little coming out here. Soon it'll come out more. That was only one row. So now we're going to need to continue wrapping. Remember, don't do it too tight or too loose. And you might do this. You'll need to go back to fix that. Let me hold it over here. Now we'll need to, I'll really show you this part so you can really see it. It's just a loop over. And if you have pegs that will fall out, all of a sudden they might fall out. You might lose your stitch. It can be very tough to fix. I will show you that a little later in this process. It normally doesn't happen too early. But my stitches seem very loose. I might want to change that though. Could just be while I'm starting off though. But this one has one on it now. And I want to push it down. This is just the way I do it. But this one has we didn't loop over on this one this time because it only had one. But we did loop this one over, unlike last time. But so now, we just keep going. A lot and a lot. I'll see you in a little while. I've been knitting for a few rows, and I have quite some. I was just knitting for 5 minutes. I'm using a bulky yarn, so it's going fast. If you're using a worsted weight yarn, which you don't have to, then you might want to hold 2 strands together, but you also don't have to. But many people do that. But so, I have quite some done, and I'll see you when I have a little more done to show you more. So, I've done a lot of work on my scarf, and it's the length I desire. So, you should work on your scarf lots too. When it's the length you desire, we're going to bind off. But, so mine is taller than my dad. You'll need scissors in a moment. And so, I have all my tools. As you can see, my scarf is pretty long. It's this like big loopy all long thing. So see you when you're ready to bind off. Time to bind off. You see how the yarn comes out of this peg here? Yep. So we want to bring it through the middle. Otherwise, there's extra weaving to do at the end. So it should look like this. There doesn't have to be a peg there. But next, we take the one it's coming out of, the yarn. Try not to split. And then go to the one before it. And you go from this peg to this peg to this peg to this peg in a zigzag pattern. So now we'll flip it on and just flip it over. And I'll show you how. You just really just put it on, flip it over. Oops. There. Like this. But remember, don't go straight across and straight across in a zigzag pattern. Sometimes you might think you have one big stitch, but just separate them in there, 2 little stitches. Sometimes you think you dropped your stitch, but you didn't. But, so, you keep doing this till the end. So, we're at our last stitch in binding off. You want to secure the last stitch and safely drop it off the loom, and you're now officially off your loom. I'm setting the line aside. So now what we'll need to do is take our tail, the very end, and slide it through the last loop. Then you can slip the last loop off, and voila. But you don't want to pull it too tight or it end up like a big knotted mess. So you want to keep it all stretched out. But you could have it up like what I said was a knotted mess. It's just my opinion. But so now we need to weave both all our tails in. You see all these strands of yarn everywhere I have? We need to weave all these in. Now that we've woven in the ends of our scarf and we're officially off the loom, we have completely finished our scarf. So now it's ready to keep someone warm and cozy, and that someone might just be you.